Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of College Basketball Picks with Zach. It's me and I'm Nick. This is Zach we got over here, and we are going to talk about the college basketball games that are on today. So, Zach, let's get your thoughts on Illinois at Indiana coming up on ESPN at noon today.
Illinois and Indiana, we've seen a lot of potential out of Trace Jackson Davis. Certainly, home court's going to play a huge role. Sleeping in your own bed has proven really quite vital for the Hoosiers. I got Indiana money line because I just believe Illinois, they're off that tough game against Wisconsin. I mean, obviously a great win, but tiring nonetheless to play a ranked opponent. I got Indiana. Trace Jackson Davis is going to have a great day.
All right, tough start for Zach. I have Illinois. I'm throwing the +1.5, and I really think Illinois will take care of business. We saw what they did at home against Wisconsin. I know it's on the road for them. I know they haven't been great on the road, but Kofi Coburn is just a different fella. He's scored almost 40 points the last game. He had like 37 of them. And Andre Curbelo's back. Can't forget about that. Big impact on the court for the Illini. All righty. Let's move on to UConn at Villanova. 12 o'clock. They got Villanova -5.5.
You can't go against Villanova. Colin Gillespie, there's not much to say on this one. When you got Villanova at home against any opponent, I'm taking Villanova any day. It's like Bama money line. When it's in the positives, you bet it. That's my stance on the hold.
Yeah, I have Villanova as well. I think that they cover the 5.5, and UConn just hasn't been impressing me too much this year. They have a solid all-around starting lineup, but they don't have that key guy like the Villanova does with Colin Gillespie. All right, let's move on. All right, so we have Michigan at Purdue at 2:30 on Fox. What are you thinking for this one?
This one motivates you to get up in the morning.
It does.
I got up 8:30 because I was so excited about this game. I don't have to be there until 1:30, but I don't care. I got Purdue. What's the spread on this one?
They got Purdue -9.5, Zach.
Oh, Purdue -9.5 at Mackey. You got to slam that. I mean, if they're giving us 9.5 against Ohio State, we know Ohio State's a better opponent than Michigan. That's reasonable reasoning for that one. I'm taking Purdue -9.5. Jaden Ivey, he's going to go off like the NBA player he is.
I like Purdue to win this game as well, but I don't know if they'll cover the 9.5 over the whole game. Michigan's on the edge of breaking through, but I think it would be a great bet to take Purdue -5.5 in the first half. Purdue's been playing unbelievable in the first half. They slowed down in the second half, but I would definitely take Purdue -5.5 in the first half. All right, we have Iowa State at Texas. Texas is an 8.5-point favorite, even though they just lost to Texas Tech by 13. Iowa State coming off a loss to Kansas by 9.
I don't think Texas is going to cover an 8.5-point spread. I mean, that game against Texas Tech was not necessarily reassuring. And of course, I'm from Utah, so I'm a big Timmy Allen guy. He didn't have a good game. Nobody looked relatively effortful, is the word I'd use in that game. Chris Beard did not look good in his game back at Texas Tech. So I'm going to take Iowa State +8.5. I think that's reasonable. I know it's a road game, but I think Iowa State prevails.
I think I'm going to stick with Texas. I think Marcus Carter is going to have a big game today. He's on the edge of breaking through. That team, they have a lot of talent. They just haven't found the chemistry yet, but I think that changes today. They're at home. Iowa State's been struggling, especially on the road. I think Texas handles business. Oh, this is a big one. 4 o'clock, ESPN, Baylor at Kansas. Kansas 2.5-point favorite. What are you thinking, Zach?
This one's a difficult one.
It is.
Baylor struggled in Big 12 play, so I don't know whether to take them or not. I think it all relies on the shooter on Kansas. It's Abaji. It's a book.
Mm-hmm.
Abaji.
Yes,
it all relies on Abaji, but I'm going to take Baylor because I just don't believe in one single player carrying an entire team. I think that's an inefficient and unsustainable way to play basketball. I think I got Baylor, but it will be tight. I definitely would not bet on this one if I was a bettor.
I think I'm taking Baylor as well. They were the national champions last year. Kansas, I've had on Fraud Watch all season. I don't know how good they really are. So I think I agree with you on this one. I have Baylor. All right, moving on. We have Michigan State at Rutgers. Michigan State's been struggling on the road. You know how hard it is to win at Rutgers. Michigan State is only a 1.5-point favorite. What do you think about that one, Zach?
Big Ten play, it's confusing because you see these by far inferior opponents such as Rutgers getting really close lines. But we've seen how Rutgers has played at the rack. A quality win against Purdue. Only one loss to Lafayette of all teams, surprisingly. But I have a lot of difficulty going against Geo Baker and Ron Harper Jr. at the rack. Give me Rutgers.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, Zach. I got Michigan State. Tom Izzo, it's his time of year. He's going to start just performing differently. He always does around middle of February, and I think Michigan State will easily handle business at the rack. I think they win by at least 7. All right, moving on. First Pac-12 match. We got USC at Arizona. Arizona's a 10.5-point favorite. Arizona just beat UCLA by 10.5 at Arizona, and USC couldn't cover the 5.5-point spread that they had against Arizona State on the road. So what do you think happens in this one?
That was a remarkably low-quality game, Arizona State against USC. I was amazed at how close USC could truly make a game against such a terrible Arizona State team. That being said, Arizona decided to make their game pretty close against Arizona State as well last week. What's the spread again?
Arizona minus 10.5.
I like USC on the road.
Okay.
I think they're going to certainly bounce back in that game after a pretty poor performance against Arizona State. I see them bouncing back. I don't see them winning. But I could certainly see them covering.
That's interesting. I think Arizona takes care of business. I did not think they were that good of a team, but once they beat UCLA by 10, I realized if they can beat UCLA by 10, they're definitely going to beat USC by 11. Okay, now it's time. Probably the biggest game of the day. Duke at North Carolina. Coach K's final game at UNC. Coach K is 49-46 all-time against North Carolina, 17-24 at North Carolina. Duke is a 3.5-point favorite in this one. It's at 6 o'clock. What do you think happens in Coach K's final game at UNC?
I do not think North Carolina has been even relatively impressive this year. So I struggle to believe that they're going to have a quality win against Duke at home. Also, I don't see Coach K going out without a dub against North Carolina. So I'm going to take Duke.
All right, hear me out on this one. Coach K's final game at UNC. There's gonna be all the attention, all the spotlight. They're gonna be talking about Coach K. He's gonna be like, all right, yep, I'm gonna win my last game at UNC. He's got the better team. He's got the better players. He's got the better coach. But I think North Carolina pulls it off. North Carolina plays differently against Duke. It doesn't matter how the teams are going in a season. It doesn't matter. Duke's number one. North Carolina has no conference wins all year. North Carolina can win at North Carolina versus Duke. It's a different type of atmosphere. It's a new coach at North Carolina. I think this is his first staple win as the coach of North Carolina. I think this is what gets the students behind him, the team behind him. I think North Carolina doesn't just cover the 3.5 against Duke. I think North Carolina beats Duke tonight. What are your thoughts there?
It's a ballsy take, but I mean, I threw out the Rutgers Michigan State one earlier, so we're both throwing out ballsy takes, and you can respect that. It's a 1-5 specialty, I'd say.
All right. This is the final game we are going to talk about. We have at 8 o'clock on ESPN, Kentucky at Alabama. Alabama is a 1.5-point favorite. Give me your thoughts. I know you're a big Kentucky fan.
I am a big Kentucky fan, but as we know, Alabama is just the David against all Goliaths. So I struggle to believe it's either going to be an Alabama win or Alabama gets killed, because we know that they either remarkably underperform or upset one of the best teams in the nation. That being said, I can't go against Sheboy. You can't go against Sheboy anywhere. Give me Sheboy and Brooks. I got Kentucky.
I have Kentucky as well. Kentucky's a great team. Sheboy, top 3 player in the entire country. Alabama, they looked good early in the season, but they've just been falling off. And they show promise, and then they fall off, and they fall off. I don't think Alabama can beat Kentucky. I don't even know if it's going to be that close of a game. It should be a good game. We'll see what happens. All right, before we go, give me your lock of the day and your reach of the day.
My lock of the day, I'm going to slam in that Kentucky-Alabama game. I don't think Alabama has proven to be a consistent basketball team over the course of this year. So I got Kentucky in that game, and reach of the day, I know I bet on it, but I'm going to say the Rutgers-Michigan State. Rutgers, I would take money line if we're reaching on that one. because Rutgers has been so strong at home, I think that's certainly one that they can just shock the entire NCAA on.
All right, Zach. My lock of the day is Purdue minus 5.5 in the first half. Purdue has the best offense in the country. They're going to cover the first half spread. I don't think that they'll have any trouble with that. And my reach, what I think will happen is UNC money line. They will beat Duke today. You can laugh, but at 6 p.m. when that game comes on, go watch it. At 8 p.m. when UNC is victorious, come back, comment on the video. Nick, you were right. Okay, that's all we got for today. We'll be back. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.